Hello and welcome to another edition of Tefilah Tuesdays, this time slightly belated as today is Wednesday. Wanted to discuss today, we discussed last week Baruch She'amar, and the next Tefilah that comes up is the Tefilah of Hodu. If you daven Nusach Ashkenaz, Hodu is the Tefilah after Baruch She'amar. If you daven Nusach Sfarad, Hodu is actually the beginning of the Psukei de Zimra. It is what is said even before Baruch She'amar. And if you look at what Hodu is about, it just appears to be a string of psukim that are put together and probably quite redundant, actually. If you look at what the psukim are about, they're all psukim of praise to God. But if you look a little bit more carefully, there are a number of themes that emerge, and actually the tefillah is in two different parts. The first part, starting from Hodu until Al Tig'u B'Mshichai Uvinviyai Al Tareu, that is actually a tefillah that David HaMelech taught to his choir master, to his director of music, Asaph. And it talks about the role of divine providence throughout Jewish history. It talks about Jewish history until that point, that is. It talks about the role that God played in fostering a national identity and in guiding the Jewish people out of Egypt, and so on. The part after that, until the conclusion of the tefillah, until we say Va'ani b'chastecha v'tachti yagel libi b'shuasecha, I have been certain of your kindness, and my heart will rejoice in your salvation. That refers to prayers for a messianic age. That refers to the yearning for God to usher us into that final period. If you look, though, at what the psukim actually say, we mentioned that there are two different categories, two different time periods that it refers to. There is something else that is at play here. Rav Shimshon Pincus, the great Baal Machshava, the great teacher in Israel, who passed away a number of years ago tragically at a very young age. Rav Pincus has a book, a series of works on tefillah. And he points out that really, if you look at face value at this passage, it can be redundant, and it can seem like there is no point to it. So, what is it that this passage is about? You have to look at the nuances. Each one of these psukim, each one of these phrases, speaks to some different aspect of our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Let's just look at the first verse. Hodu la'Hashem, kir'u bishmo, hodiu ba'amim alilosav. Now, just as an aside, we mentioned that this is something that David HaMelech taught to Asaph. This is mentioned in Divrei Hayamim. It's interesting that Divrei Hayamim is a work that is primarily historical in nature, or supposed to be historical in nature. But it actually forms the focal point of this particular tefillah. Hodu la'Hashem, give thanks to God. Kir'u bishmo, call on His name. Hodiu ba'amim alilosav, and tell all the nations what He has done. Shiru lo, sing to Him. Zamru lo, make melodies for Him. Sichu ba'amim niflosav, and tell His greatness among the nations. There is a parallel here. Hodiu ba'amim alilosav, sichu bechol niflosav. Those phrases are parallel. But each one of these speaks to something a little different. Hodu la'Hashem, give thanks to God. You can give thanks to God internally. Kir'u bishmo, but kir'u bishmo means that means verbalizing your thanks to God. It's not just enough to feel thankful to God. That's certainly important. But feeling thankful to God must be manifest in verbalizing it. And then not just verbalizing it, but doing something about it. Hodu ba'amim alilosav. Telling the other nations, make a Kiddush Hashem. Tell the other nations about your relationship to God, how much it changed your life. Shirulo, Zamrulo. And that love of God shouldn't just be in that thankfulness to God, shouldn't just be a low-grade feeling that you feel. It should make you want to sing. It should make you feel positive and feel happy. And sichu b'chol niflaosav. And you should recount it at all times. This is the message. And all of these psukim, all of the verses that we say have slightly different nuances and the way we should relate to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the kind of relationship we have with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is the lesson. Hodu certainly starts off the day because it starts off Psukei de Zimra in earnest because it is a very nuanced and multifarious exposition of the ideas that Psukei de Zimra is about. I'll see you next time.